Hey, everybody. That's right, man. Welcome back to the November Bowfishing Buzz podcast, Schmitty, episode 71.
71, November 15th. We're back in the lab here.
Wow, you were not here on the last podcast.
I got to remember how to do all this stuff.
Right.
I was gone in October when we were doing it, and I think our last one that we did was in September together, so it's been a solid 2 months, but we're back.
That's right. That's right. One thing that I would like to say is we have Thanksgiving coming up here, Schmitty. So just be thankful for everything that you get to do. Be thankful for your family. You know, be thankful for your health. Be thankful that you can enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah, be thankful that, we can all go out and bowfish with each other whenever we want. We're healthy enough to do so. We're very blessed here at AMS. We got a great family atmosphere, and we thank all of you for being part of the AMS family as well.
Right, we're thankful for that very much.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're right. You bet.
I guess, Matt, to kick this off here, boy, and I just want to put this out there for everyone. If I sound a little nasally, a little hoarse here talking, it's because earlier this week Matt came into work sick.
What a wingnut.
And we were building.
Don't believe a darn thing he's telling you right now, people.
We were building some products. I was flying high, feeling good, and Matt was hacking and blowing his nose, and I believe that I have caught his cold, so I'm sorry for that.
Oh,
but,
boy.
I'm going to grind through. You know, I show up to work and I do what I need to do, but just in case I sound a little sick, it is 100% Matt's fault.
Your nose just grew about 5 inches.
Ooh, everything I just said is the exact opposite.
Yeah,
to be totally
exactly.
honest with you.
Exactly. Schmitty comes in, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, hacking, blowing.
But I feel better now.
And we had a job that they put us together to do. We had to build some retrievers. So we're building retrievers for 2.5, 3 hours.
Yep.
And in between him putting the stuff together, he's got a whole box of Kleenexes next to him. He's blowing his nose. I'm like, oh, great. I'm touching every one of the parts that he's making. So after we got done,
we had to build these retrievers, Matt. They had to get out the door.
So just so you know, this coming Saturday, it's Thursday, or it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, the 15th today. Yep.
This Saturday is opening day of rifle season here in Wisconsin.
Not a day you want to be sick for.
No. So we're working together. I go over and we're done. I make sure I don't touch my eye. I don't itch my eyes. I don't rub my nose. Itch here.
Smart.
Anything in my, As soon as we're done building, I go over and I just got done with surgery. I'm washing my hands. I'm scrubbing them, baby. There's bubbles coming out that I've never seen bubbles come out of my hands when I'm washing them before. Last night, I woke up like at 1:30 and I could feel a scratch in the back of my throat and up in my nose area, nasal passage area.
I don't know if that was me.
Those were Schmitty germs in the back of my nose.
I think maybe Julie brought something home from work.
No, she's just fine and dandy.
Maybe you got it from touching a door handle somewhere or something.
You wingnut.
Yep. So I apologize. I may have gotten Matt sick, but we're here and we're ready to rock and roll.
We are.
So I guess the first thing, boy, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
My goodness.
Yes,
just
it has.
This first topic here, this was going on almost 2 weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
Matt, you had a very successful, interesting, awesome archery season.
I did.
That wrapped up. Was it in November when you ended up?
Nope. October 27th.
It was. Okay. You just want to tell us a little bit about that experience?
The cool thing about this, Derek, is this is going to wrap into our guest.
It does. It really lines it up perfectly.
That we are having on today. We're having on Lance Brantley.
Yep. He's been on before.
He's been on before. He won the Bass Pro US Open Bowfishing Tournament, shooting all them giant Bigheads.
Yep.
He also owns K9 or On Track K9 Big Game Recovery Services down in Kentucky, and he's a busy man. We're lucky to get him on here today because he's taking phone calls up to Gazoo.
Oh yeah, this time of year's got to be his busiest time.
So my story is going to really fall into Lance's story here. And then, of course, we'll get into the bow fishing part of what he's doing with the big heads.
Yeah.
And he also just made a big purchase.
He did. And we'll have to tease that. We'll let him
goes
talk about
into bow fishing.
It does. It's a big move.
It is a big move down there. Yeah. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, Derek, I had this spot, and I really didn't put a lot of emphasis in this spot. No cameras. I do have a ladder stand in there, but I don't really put a lot of emphasis in this spot.
Yep.
But going into this halfway through October, I was like, I really need to go in there
So is this? Let me interrupt you, Matt. Is this a spot that you know is a good spot that you just didn't want to go into at all, or
no,
was it just kind of second tier type of spot?
What happened there? It's on the bend of the woods, okay?
Yep.
Which are always good spots for deer
like an
travel.
Inside corner type of situation. Yep.
The field that's right alongside of it used to be corn. Then the next year beans.
Money in the bank.
Well, the last 3 years they have heifers in there now.
Oh, okay.
So I just kind of backed out of that area. Just never really put a lot of emphasis in that this year, just because of that. But deer still use that as they don't want to walk through the field. They're going to walk around the edge in the woods, cover.
Yep.
All right. So I really didn't hunt in there a lot this year. I did get a picture of a nice 10. Only once at nighttime.
Yeah. I remember when you sent me that picture. I'm like, ooh, that's a good deer.
He came into my middle food plot. But it wasn't much after dark. It was just shortly after dark. So I'm like, he had to walk somewhere during the daylight to get there.
Right.
And I kind of had a feeling of where he was at. So anyways, we'll fast forward here to October 27th. I was like, I'm going to go sit in there and just see what's cruising through there.
It's the time of year when stuff is starting to happen.
Yep.
For sure.
I just had started my rutcation.
Yep.
And it was a Friday.
It was a Friday. Okay.
It was a Friday. Yep. And I went in there early in the morning, got set up, and I off to my right, I look, here comes Wesley walking. It's a buck that a 8-pointer that we know of very well because he got a distinct left shoulder is out of place.
Yeah, I always think whenever you showed me that deer or showed me video of him, because you ran into him a lot this season. Actually, to me he looks like if you ever watch a video of like a grizzly bear or a tiger, like when they walk, how their shoulder blades go up like this.
Right.
Well, this deer, it's like he just had one of those. It just stayed there all the time.
Yeah,
it's like it was stuck there.
And we saw him like that last year. I got video of him last year. I saw him opening day of rifle season last year.
Some kind of injury, I would assume.
I don't know. Yeah. It's very interesting, but his left shoulder is, when he puts pressure on it, it sticks way up out of his, it pulls the hide way up. Yeah. You can really see it. You can see it's him. In fact, I haven't seen him now in 2 weeks now. I have not seen him.
Really?
Yeah.
He could be locked down somewhere.
Yep. But anyways, here comes Wesley. Yep. And the reason I call him Wesley is because of that shoulder blade.
Yep.
The movie Blade with the vampires, the lead director is Wesley Snipes.
Okay. I'll pretend like I know what that movie is.
So I call him Wesley. Okay. Right. But anyways, he comes in. He's a nice 8. And he comes off to my right. And he turns and he comes walking straight at me. I mean, literally straight at me.
And this is a deer that you would shoot given the opportunity, correct?
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I wanted to shoot him or not. Because I was like, I didn't get a 10-pointer, and it's my first day of rutcation. I'm off for 11, 12 days, and he comes walking straight at me. Gets about 7 yards away, and he starts pawing at the ground.
Like making a scrape?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Not really a scrape there, but he just started pawing at the ground and started tickling some branches that were above him.
Sure.
Then he comes closer to me, so now he's like 3 yards from me, and then he looks up at me.
Oh, wow.
And he just slowly turns and walks away. Shortly after that, I had a couple does come running through. Here he is on their tails.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. And he never gave you a shot when he came straight in?
Yeah.
Or he did?
Now he comes in, he stands off, and he's staring at the does, and grunts, and he comes chasing him, and he comes with another 10 yards from me.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's standing there, and I had my bow in my hand this time.
Clipped on.
I had my release on. Yep. And then he made a hard grunt and a charge at the does, and then they were gone. Okay. I was like, good, thank you. Thank you for leaving. Okay. Don't put that pressure on me.
Don't tempt you anymore.
Yeah. Yep. And I saw a couple more little bucks that morning and stuff. And then that afternoon, I was not going to sit there.
Okay. I
was going to go sit in a different spot in the middle of the back 40.
Okay.
But I'm like, that's putting pressure back there. For me to get in that stand, I have to walk through the middle of it.
Okay.
Yep. This stand here, I don't have to walk through the woods at all except for 25 yards when I walk through the field
edge,
the woods.
Right into the woods.
Yes.
You're there.
Yep. So that's what I did that night. That afternoon, I went back in there and sat. And I had some does and stuff walking around and stuff, and I had some does down below me. And around 4:30, I was watching those does that were north of me, and they kind of like ran a little bit, not a hard run, but just a trot, and they ran to the east. And I saw another deer walking up behind them. And I picked up my binocs and I looked. Oh my gosh, that's a 10.
It was that 10-point.
It was a 10-point.
Yep.
The one I had on camera.
Yep.
And he slowly is just walking. I thought he's going to chase the does for sure. That's why he ran.
Yep.
Nope, he just walked. When he got to the does, he grunted once.
Okay.
Then he just made a straight beeline to me.
Oh, wow.
I had totally forgot, Derek. A week before, I was sitting in that back 40.
Yep.
And I came walking up to that stand in the dark when I left, and I broke a branch down, and I made a mock scrape right there.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I totally forgot about that.
Did Wesley work that scrape when he was in around you?
I think he might have been coming to it, Derek, because he walked straight at me, and it was behind me.
Oh, okay.
And I think he was going to come to it, but he saw me, and then he turned around and walked away.
Okay, I gotcha. Yep.
Never blew, never ran. He just, I don't like that.
Something was weird. Yep.
Yep. So anyways, here comes a 10. I mean, he's walking pretty fast pace, nonstop walking. And now I'm standing up. I got my bow, and he's coming right at me, and I'm not trying to figure out, okay, right here, right here, right here, right here. Nope, he just comes walking straight in, goes right to that scrape.
Wow, perfect.
And he stops right at this scrape.
Yep.
Lifts his head up. I draw. And he was cornering a lot harder to me than I thought he was.
Okay.
And I remember looking down the pin. I remember saying, don't hit that front shoulder. Do not hit that front shoulder. And I pulled back a little bit behind that front shoulder, and I shot and released. On the release, I knew right away it was not a double lung, or not even close to a double lung. Yep. I hit him too far back for that, behind the rib cage.
Yep.
He ran about 40 yards, stopped, and just stood there. I watched him with binoculars. I know right away what I could see my entry hole. I could see blood coming down on his right leg.
So initially, are you thinking like liver guts type of hit?
I'm thinking definitely guts.
Yep.
Stomach shot.
Yep.
Hopefully, I got that liver, and then maybe I got some of that femoral artery in his back leg or something. Because I can see blood coming down his leg.
Sure. Yep.
Well, he slowly walks away, and then I lose track of him.
Never saw him bed or anything.
Nope. He just disappeared. I waited till just before dark. I got down and I went over and I found my arrow.
What's going through your head right now? As you're watching that deer, you know you maybe just made a marginal shot on him. What's the emotional mindset like?
My stomach was burning.
Okay.
No pun intended. But seriously, my stomach was in knots.
Yeah.
I was like, God dang it. My wife was hunting that night. It would have been so cool for us to,
go in there and track
make a good shot on that deer and go and track it, find it together, and do all the stuff together.
Yep.
But I knew, I felt bad. I felt I totally rushed the shot. I could have gave that deer time. He had no idea I was there. He had no idea I had drawn. He would have given me a good broadside shot. I just rushed my shot.
You know what a big buck does to hunters. That's a typical thing.
Yep. And so I knew that I had to give this deer a lot of time. I had to give this deer overnight. I went down, looked at my arrow. Arrow was covered with blood. Complete pass-through, of course.
That's big. That's good.
Yeah.
You got both two holes to bleed out of.
Right. And like I said, it was really good and bloody. And, of course, I could see a little bit of stomach content on the fletchings and in the blood area and stuff. So as soon as I saw that, I stuck my arrow right there by that tree where that scrape was, and I went out to the field and exited. Gotcha. I didn't even look for blood or not.
When in doubt, back out.
Yep.
Let me just jump to this, Matt, if you don't mind. What kind of what's your bow setup looking like?
My bow?
Yeah, what kind of bow are you shooting? Poundage?
I'm shooting a Matthews.
Okay.
I'm shooting right around 63 pounds.
63 pounds. Fixed or mechanical?
Fixed.
Okay.
I'm shooting the Interlock American Eagles.
Gotcha. Okay. Just curious.
Full metal jackets.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I've had good luck with that combination before. So, I knew I was probably gonna have to get a hold of a dog tracker.
Yep.
So I went on the phone that night and I saw somebody not too far away that had dog services.
Yep.
And I called him. We talked. We discussed it. I told him exactly what everything was. He goes, "Yep." He says, "Just stay out of there. Don't go in there. I'll meet you at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning."
Oh, perfect.
So he met me at 8 o'clock in the morning. I had my wife go sit in one spot. My dad went and sat in another spot in case he crossed the road. I didn't want him to cross the road.
Sure.
We took up the blood track. You came along.
Yep. You were curious. You wanted me to. I was very curious to see how the whole dog tracking thing went. So that was cool that you invited me along. Yeah.
He had a Mountain Bavarian.
Yep. Scout,
which is a cool dog that I almost bought a Bavarian Mountain Hound.
That's right.
2 years ago from Dennis Redden for tracking deer.
Yep.
But I just don't have time for that right now. But so we went in there, went right to the spot. Dog hit that spot, sniffed around there a little bit. Wham.
Yeah.
He went right exactly to where I last saw that deer, didn't he? In a heartbeat.
Yeah. In like we're like having to fast walk / run through the woods to keep up. The dog's name was Scout.
Yeah.
And Dustin, I don't know.
Yes.
Dustin. He had a big, long orange rope off that dog's collar.
Like a big, long leash.
Yeah, and you're just like, okay, where does that orange... you're doing everything you can to be able to keep track because the dog is gone, and you're just trying to follow this orange rope through the woods. It's like, holy cow. And then I was behind you, and you'd be like, that's right where I saw him last.
Yeah.
He's right. And then as we were walking, we'd be like, oh, there's a drip of blood. There's a drip of blood.
Yeah, so we're going fast pace. We're like you said, we're half running, half fast walk.
Yep.
I want to, oh, here's blood. You know, there was none of that.
No.
So then, right where I kind of lost the deer, the dog was kind of circling around, sniffing, making big circles and loops. All of a sudden, boom, there he goes.
Yep.
Out to the southwest. There he goes. Into the thicker stuff. Kind of lost it a little bit again up there. Yep. Did his big circles and stuff. All of a sudden, the deer made a hard right turn.
Yep.
Boom. Went across our trail, and literally, I said to Dustin, I says, there's a small pond right up here. And at this time, I really didn't see hardly any blood anymore.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little bit worried.
Yep.
You know, I'm like, oh boy, we haven't found a bed yet. Oh boy.
I know. Because I thought when we went into that thick stuff, I thought we were going to find him. If we were going to find him, I thought that he was going to be in there. I'm like, and then all of a sudden, dog goes out there. I'm like, oh, okay.
So we crossed my little path that I have in there.
Yep.
And we went through some thicker stuff and then up onto the dike of that little pond.
Yep.
I mow the top of that dike. When we got up onto the top of that dike, the dog went to the right, and Dustin goes, there he is. Literally, that deer had bedded down right on top of that dike, right next to that pond, and had passed away and died. Right there on top of that dike.
Yeah.
And
that was crazy to see that.
That night, I couldn't sleep.
The night before.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I actually got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just went out and watched TV. And literally every time I would forget about it for a little bit when I'm watching TV, then I would think about it, and my stomach would just twist and turn. I'm like, oh, man.
We've all been there.
That dog was amazing.
Yeah, and I remember I turned my Onyx track on as soon as we got into the woods. So you need to take out probably 30 yards that it took us to get there. That dog went 250 yards in 8 minutes.
Isn't that crazy?
And we found that deer.
And we would have been on our hands and knees looking for blood.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The deer was dead.
Yeah.
Actually, from where he died, if we would have walked down the trail, we would have seen him laying there right there.
If you'd have walked down the normal trail that you have mowed through, we'd have seen him.
He was only, from where we park and where the shed is, he's literally only 125 yards from that spot.
Yeah. But you don't know. Right. You don't know. You know. Yeah.
But looking back at it, we did the right things. I watched that deer after the shot. We gave him 15 hours is what we figured we gave him after the shot.
Yep. And you didn't push him at all after you shot him?
I did not go in and look for any blood at all. I just went and grabbed my arrow, looked at my arrow, and then I got out.
Yep.
And that deer actually had just died probably that morning there because there was no rigor mortis set in.
No, he was pretty limber.
He was pretty limber yet. He was warm to the touch yet. So he had just died that morning.
Yeah.
You know, probably around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Yep. You played that exactly how you needed to.
But yeah, I was very blessed that we had found that deer. And actually, for our 10 o'clock break this morning, we just had some snack
I was just going to say, we just ate them.
Yeah, we just ate some snack sticks from him.
Yep, that was cool. That was awesome. And I know when we were doing that too, we were sitting there and Dustin, I think was his name. And all of a sudden he goes, well, guys, he said, I'd love to stay and look at that deer. He said, but I got a list of people I got to go see today. So he was gone with the wind. He came in, did what he needed to, and then they were gone. So it was very cool to witness
it was neat.
That.
So I was very glad. That's my first true 10-point that I've ever shot with a bow and arrow.
Oh, really? And not to mention, I feel like we're underselling this a little bit. A big deer. I mean,
nice deer.
Big bases, thick, 4.5+ deer. I mean, it was a great deer. Yeah. Absolutely.
Not big body. He didn't have a very big body, I don't think.
Started to run, I guess, a little bit, 27th. But just a
great
deer.
It's cool. I had pictures of him. I got video of him back to working on a different scrape, earlier in October and stuff. So I was very blessed and lucky. And also, let's give a shout out to Jeff Brown, the VP here.
Oh, that's right.
Absolutely.
Shot
a very nice, mature 10-pointer also.
Yep. I know he sent me a picture of that when he shot it, and when he sent me the picture of him holding it, the head looked like a cow. Oh, it looked like a bull, like a big bull with whitetail antlers on it. That was a stud of a deer as well. Yeah, congrats to Jeff as well. Yep. So it's been a pretty good year here at AMS. We got Corey, he's still out hunting. Steph's hunting.
Yep.
Tim's hunting over at All Meadow, but
like I said, this week we got the Orange Army invading the Wisconsin woods, which is like a national holiday here in Wisconsin.
It is. I love it and I hate it at the same time. So,
speaking, Derek, we were speaking before about being thankful and what you need to be thankful for. I just got to touch base on this. I got to be thankful for family.
Oh yeah.
My dad's 85 years old.
Yep.
Had a couple heart issues in the past, and recently we just had he got admitted again to the hospital. His blood pressure was super low, but before that happened, he's still going out there and hunting.
Oh yeah,
he's got his crossbow, and so I shot that deer on a Friday night. We found it Saturday morning. Sunday after church, I took Dad out hunting, and we were sitting in a blind where I had shot my buck last year, where Julie shot her buck last year, and it's a neat little funnel pinch point.
Yep.
And I stuck my head out the blind, and I was taking a panel of the beautiful sunset that night.
Yep.
It was just pink. It was just gorgeous. As I'm doing that, I look off to the left of the blind there, and I can see a doe standing out there. I said, Dad, get ready. There's a doe standing out there.
Yep.
And the doe was looking behind her for 3 minutes or so. Finally, here she comes. She walked right through the food plot. Her little fawn came through. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, get ready. Here comes a nice buck.
Yep.
He came into the food plot, worked the scrape through the brush that I have sitting there. He worked the scrape and tickled his antlers. And then as he turned and started walking to follow that same path that doe took, instantly I could tell it was Wesley.
Yes.
You can see that every step. You can see that shoulder pop. I said, oh my gosh, Dad, here comes Wesley. And bless his heart, the buck came walking through the food plot there, and he didn't know I was going to make the deer stop.
Oh, okay.
He did not know that. So the deer is just a slow walk.
Yep.
And as soon as I went to make him stop, he shot.
It was almost. I remember you sent me that video. It was like, man,
yes.
It happened. Boom, boom.
Right
away.
Right.
Yep.
And I'll show this video in our video podcast because I have it on film there. And he shot underneath that buck. In fact, right behind the buck, I have a trail camera there.
What are the odds of that?
So you can see the knock flying.
Yep.
You can see the duck slowly crouch, and then the bolt actually goes into the tree that my camera's in.
Yep.
And as soon as the buck takes off, then you can see my red IR go off on the camera.
Yep.
But it was a clean miss, and bless his heart, he felt bad, and I said, Dad, that was awesome.
Yeah, that footage was really cool.
That was awesome, just to be sitting here with you in the blind, seeing that, having that opportunity. Was awesome.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. That was awesome.
Right.
It was a clean miss. You didn't wound him.
Left and right was perfect. Just right underneath the belly line.
Yep. So that's being thankful. I'm so thankful for family and my family and doing those things with my dad and and everything like that there. Yeah. In fact, even my mom came out the day when we
that was cool.
When we found my buck, and she was in there with the pictures and stuff. So
that was
she enjoyed that too. Actually, they sit together.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Up to 5 years ago, they were sitting in a ladder stand, and I said, no more of that. You guys are not climbing a ladder stand anymore, so we built them a wagon blind.
Yep.
And they both go in there and sit opening. In fact, they both sat in there, in the last week and a half, they go in there and sit together.
That's
Dad's
cool.
been hunting this whole week. So.
That's goals right there. I got to find myself a woman that'll be that old and sit in a cold deer woods with me.
Okay, so speaking of women, Schmitty.
What is this going to be about?
We have our AMS Bowfishing Christmas party coming up here.
Yep, we do.
December 1st.
Yep.
We're going to a golf simulator to play some golf and other games that they have there.
Yep.
And then we're going out to eat at the Buccaneer Supper Club.
Yep.
And afterwards, we usually go out and have a good time at one of the local bars.
Yep.
Okay. So what they do here at AMS is they bring out a spreadsheet here, and it says your name, if you're bringing your spouse or some other significant other, and then if they're going to be eating, and then if you're going to be playing golf.
Yep.
All right. Well, I saw on yours that you just had yourself and then no other significant other, and then only one for eating and one for playing golf.
Yep. Currently single, yes.
So, ladies. Ladies in the house. Schmitty here is single.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. We're going to make it turn into
Schmitty here is single.
Dating podcast.
He sure could use a girlfriend or, to attend the AMS Christmas party.
Yeah. So I guess send your submissions to the AMS email, and we'll
just go right to his Facebook page, Derek Schmidt, his Facebook page, and just DM right there and hook up with Derek. He is single. He's about 6'7".
6'7" on a bad day, 6'8" on a good day. Yep. 6'7". Good Lord. Yeah.
If you love hunting, if you love deer hunting.
You can't love deer hunting too much, though, because you ain't going to be able to hunt on my property. But you got to be able to support it if I like to do it. So,
well, yeah, Schmitty's single. He's looking for a date for the Christmas party. So,
oh boy,
yeah,
wow. I can't wait to see what kind of weird submissions get sent in. That's going to be interesting. And I knew this was coming because we just have our on Wednesdays we have our shop meeting after a 10:00 break, and all of a sudden we're sitting there talking about, oh yeah, we got to build up these parts, and we got this new machine in here, and all of a sudden Matt goes, ooh, I got something I'm going to bring up on the podcast. And that was what that was. I did not know what it was going to be, but that's what Matt had in store for me. Okay. Yep. All right. Yep. I'll have to field those, see what all rolls in there. That'll be interesting.
So, yeah. Direct message Schmitty for a date for the AMS Christmas party, December 1st.
Yeah. We'll have a good time. We'll have a good time.
Absolutely. You bet. So moving on here, Derek, we have the date now and stuff picked out for the Bowfishing Association of America's spring meeting, which is going to be held March 2nd, 2024 in Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yep, at the Kentucky Dam Village State Park. Really neat little place there, right above the dams there.
Yeah. You want to just tell everybody what that meeting consists of? What do they all cover? What kind of topics get discussed?
Everything associated with bowfishing from... Like, for example, right now in Oklahoma, there are some issues that are coming up that we need to fight against. They're trying to categorize rough fish a little bit now and wanting to put limits on these fish without a lot of scientific background on these. Why are you doing that? So a lot of discussion on all types of stuff like that. There's stuff on the East Coast, stingrays and stuff like that. You discussed the new board members. You discuss BAA Worlds information. Okay. Like that one year, they tried to get it to where it would be in the south one year and then in the north the next year, and where the cutoff lines were for that. So that goes into the topic. The tournament directors. Then you also have state reps about repping, states and stuff like that there.
So there's all kinds of information that gets covered.
Yeah, and then they also have the Bowfishing Hall of Fame. They bring in some more people in the Bowfishing Hall of Fame. So there's a lot to discuss there, and anybody is welcome to come. You can ask questions. BA records, youth, bowfishing, everything. Sure. Everything. Points for team of the year and stuff like that. Cool. And, everything gets discussed there that has to do with bowfishing. Yeah. I think they're trying to come up with a new BAA app.
Oh, okay.
To keep people more connected and stuff like that as well. So all that stuff, and then along with that, that takes money to do that stuff. So, we have free membership, but then we also have paid memberships. Sure. Yep. When people vote on the worlds where it's going to be and stuff like that there. So
yeah. And I just, going back to that fish biologist, we're talking about limits and whatnot. I'm guessing that you and I were a part of a little meeting here a couple of years back where an Oklahoma rep came in and kind of displayed some information.
I was very curious if that was the same guy.
Oh, I bet you it is. And I won't say his name on the podcast, but I know when we were at that meeting, I know we kind of, and this was probably 3 or 4 years ago that we attended this meeting.
Yeah.
I know that we kind of left that meeting a little bit like, I don't know if all these bases are quite covered as much as they should be in order to be able to put in something as serious as a regulation like limits on rough fish. But
we told him
that's interesting.
Exactly how I remember Andy Cardwell and myself told him exactly how we feel about this and what he is trying to do here.
Yeah. Yep.
And we were totally against what he was talking to us about.
And I remember Cardwell when he piped up there when he started talking. He was very good at speaking to this gentleman. He did it in a very professional manner with lots of facts to back up what he was talking about. But I remember he piped up and he goes, "Well, listen up, myself and Matt. Look, we're just big buff killers, okay?"
He did say that. That's right. Yeah.
And I remember I'm like, heck yeah, let him have it. Let's hear what he's got to say. I just remember him. That's how he started his conversation with him. I'm like, heck yeah, that's cool.
But this association that brought him in and talked to us about, I talked to them the next day, and I says, anything that he is going to do with you guys, or if you plan on doing with him, you can keep AMS Bowfishing out of it because we are not going to be linked with that individual.
And that's kind of what they were wanting to do with all of us that were in that meeting, was kind of have a little bit of a backing.
Keep us out of that because, I don't like the guy. I didn't like what he was trying to preach, and I didn't like what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
So
you got to fight with her for what you want, for sure. But, all right, Matt. Let's we got to give Lance a call, but let's run through some of these BAA records quick, huh?
You bet.
All right, so first one here. Congrats to Christopher Scott on his BAA Louisiana state record silver, weighing 42.4 pounds. Holy cow, that's a tank silver. That's awesome.
Nice. Next, we got congrats to Gunnar Coleman on his BAA Tennessee youth record, Buffalo, weighing 23 pounds.
That's awesome. Love to see the youth. How about our little buddy from Michigan, Easton Bourgeois? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Bourgeois. On his BAA Michigan youth and state record, Crucian. Is that how that's?
Yep.
Crucian carp, weighing 3.5 pounds, and his BAA Michigan youth record, Bowfin, weighing 6.6 pounds. How awesome is that?
Way to go, Easton. Yes. How about congrats to Landon Conley on his BAA Kentucky youth record, smallmouth buff, weighing 26 pounds, and his BAA Kentucky youth record, grass carp, weighing 51 pounds. Wow. That's awesome. And I just got to tell you a little story here on Landon, Derek. I met his dad, Dustin, at the very first annual Amos Big 20 in Brandenburg, Kentucky.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's cool. Wow.
Right?
Yep.
At that time, Landon was just a little baby. All right. Since then, I see them almost every year at the Jared Ashmore Youth Tournament.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And they always come up to me and talk to me and say hello, and we talk and stuff. And you know how cool that is, Derek?
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. That's
Landon,
cool.
the first year we had the Big 20, was a baby.
Yep.
Now he's bow fishing.
And shooting
records here.
Yep.
Really cool deal there to see that flow.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
For sure. Yeah, it's like you're growing up with them a little bit. You see them in these different stages of their life, and now they're shooting fish all the time. That's really cool to see that really connection.
Neat. Yeah, really cool there.
Yep. Finishing up the records here, congrats to Connor Cobrine on his BA Maryland youth and state record, Northern Hogsucker. What a name right there, Northern Hogsucker.
Northern Hogsucker.
Weighing 0.4 pounds. Wow, that's tough to shoot. 0.4 pounds. That's cool.
Yep. We've had those hogsuckers under from Dustin Meisel.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day that was shooting hogsuckers. Now we got Connor shooting a hogsucker.
Yeah, very cool.
So congratulations to the new BA records.
Very cool. Nice shooting, guys.
Great job. Well, Schmitty, I think after this break, we will give Mr. Lance Brantley a call, AMS pro staffer, on track, canine, big game deer recovery.
Yep.
And he's got something else up his sleeve.
You got a new owner of something else pretty big in the bow fishing world. So
let's give him a call after this break.
Okay, sounds good.
This is Megamouth. It's the first free spooling spin cast style bow fishing reel. It's ready to shoot. No button to push.
Yes.
You engage the reel by pulling the T-bar. Megamouth is built for bow fishing. It's tough. Dual stainless steel and brass gears. 3 heavy-duty axial pins. A no-fail anti-reverse. An unmatched 28 inches of line per crank. And a 3-year warranty. Megamouth, the professional bow fishing reel.
And welcome back to the Bowfishing Buzz, episode 71 here, Schmitty.
Yep.
Let's give Mr. Lance Brantley a jingle.
All right, let's do it. See what Lance has to say.
Yep.
Always full of good information.
Right.
Hello.
Hey, Lance, this is Matthew and Derek from the Bowfishing Buzz. How are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Lance.
Doing good, man. How about yourself? Y'all guys doing all right?
We are doing great up here. In fact, this podcast from the very beginning kind of incorporated you in here with, I shot a buck end of October, and we had to get a tracking dog in here because I didn't make the greatest shot on that deer. And it was a Bavarian mountain hound, and that dog did an amazing job.
Yep.
Found that deer in 8 minutes. It went 250 yards.
8 minutes. Very impressive.
From the shot.
Yep.
And that dog took us right to that with hardly any blood.
Yeah.
After the first 40 yards.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool having you on here because you are one of the best, if not the best, down there in that area, from what I've heard and what I've seen of tracking wounded deer and finding them and recovering them for the shooters.
Yes, sir. We stay pretty busy chasing them. I say that.
Yeah, I bet.
I didn't. By the way, Matthew, I didn't know that you had a dog on that one. That's pretty cool. You got to see what it's all about.
It was really neat, Lance, to watch that dog do his job, and it was really cool to see him figure things out where that deer would make a hard right turn, and that it took him probably a minute and a half to figure out. Okay, here's where he went.
He went this way. Yep.
Yeah, it was really neat, Lance.
Efficient dog for sure.
So we'll get into some of that stuff here in a little bit, Lance, but I know you've been on the Bowfishing Buzz in the past, but why don't you give our listeners a little background on yourself, where you live, and some of your hobbies, Lance?
Well, I live here in Dixon, Kentucky. Pretty well anything in the outdoors, coyote hunting, bird hunting, bow fishing, anything we can chase around here, I pretty well do it, it seems like.
Awesome.
Pretty passionate about the outdoors.
Yeah. So you're staying pretty busy year-round.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me ask you, Lance. The last time we had you on, you had just won the Bass Pro US Open bowfishing tournament. Has anything changed for you since that win?
Man, no. We just kept on grinding. We definitely seen a whole lot more bow lighters. Looking for bigheads after that.
Oh, okay, sure. Yep, that'll happen.
Yeah, we definitely seen several people chasing them, but other than that, everything's been kind of the same, I guess.
Sure. Good. So with that, Lance, of course, after the U.S. Open Championship, you and your team, in fact, let's give a shout out to David Waddell, Noah Brewer, and Gunnar Hagen as your teammates as well. Let's not forget about them. But you guys kept shooting tournaments, and you kept shooting up some pretty big fish and some pretty big weights in them tournaments. How did the rest of the year go for you?
Man, we had an awesome year. We were very blessed. You know how it is finding fish. They got to stay the next night, and we had a very good year. I think we ended up winning, 6 tournaments total. Wow. The Cajun would be one of the bigger ones after the U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. But, man, we had a blessed year. We were definitely pretty excited about that. And, man, the team, everybody's done their part, and everyone's, put a lot of work in. Every weekend we're on the water, and this year it all paid off.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Very
cool.
And
congratulations on a fantastic year, because you were one of the teams last year that, no offense to you, Lance, but not a lot of people knew about you. Not a lot of people knew about you guys and stuff. And, man, you guys came in last year and took the tournaments by storm. At the Cajun 8, I think you had with your 8 fish, I think you had like a 49-pound average on those 8 fish. My goodness.
We actually done a little better. I think it was a 59-pound average.
Oh, yeah, Matt, get your numbers right.
Come on, Matt, man. Give me credit here.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, wow. The year before, I think it was right around a 49, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. All right, that's what I was remembering.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yep. Oh, that's cool.
Yes, sir.
So, Lance, everybody sees you, placing well in these tournaments, holding up these big fish. Can you give us a little bit of insight? How grueling is it scouting for these big heads?
Man, it's different to everyone. Don't get me wrong; it becomes a job, but for me, I enjoy it. It's intriguing. This has been a 5-year deal for me, and there hasn't been too many nights missed on the water during the summer.
Wow.
And you kind of get something in your head or idea of what the fish are targeting, and if I'm not on the water, I'm sitting there thinking about it. And there's been times that I've left in the middle of the night, like, all right, I think I know what they're after. And you can't sleep, so you just head to the water and say, well, maybe not, or it's a fun ride for me. Everyone, don't get me wrong, you get burnt out of it, you get burnt out on it. It's a lot of hours invested and all that good stuff, but I sincerely enjoy it, to be honest.
And I know people think that a lot of this has to do with luck, but I was out with you a couple of times this past season, and I know the amount of time that you put into looking for these big heads and how much time that you and your teammates spend on the water looking for these fish. It takes time. It takes time. The big heads are, I remember years back, we scouted big heads for the U.S. Open that year. Was down at the Pyramid in Nashville, and we made a 4.5-hour drive to that spot, and we never saw a big head that night.
Boy.
Where the night before, they were dumb as a box of rocks. They were bumping into the trolling motor,
Oh, yes, they drive you nuts like that. And you and I for example, we spent, from dark to daylight, and I think we shot one fish that night.
We shot one fish, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of time on the water.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for those fish. One thing that I was actually listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was Hank Parker Jr., or Hank Parker was on there.
Okay.
And he was a professional bass fisherman.
Okay.
The second year he won the Bass Masters,
okay. Yep.
Whatever. The second year he was in there. And one thing that I found very interesting what he said is, do not compete against the teams that are competing in those tournaments. Compete against the lake.
Oh.
You need to win that lake, or you need to win that body of water that you're on.
Oh, okay.
If you can do that, you're going to do well.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
It was kind of interesting to hear him say that. You're not competing against other teams. You're competing against that body of water.
Mm-hmm.
If you can conquer that body of water, isn't that kind of neat, Lance?
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of the take we take on it, too. Because, I mean, when you roll in these tournaments, there's 150 boats out there. I mean, it's overwhelming. Right. I mean, if you start thinking, well, who's on water, this and that, and then you're hearing all the big numbers, and, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. But, that's kind of what we do. We just focus on what we think the best average we can pull and what the odds are of pulling it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you watch the team D-scale, and them guys, I've seen them win with some averages that you wouldn't think would be that great, but those guys recognize the conditions and were able to chase the fish that would take the win and overlook the rest. And, I mean, I think what they win the Muzzy with, I don't is that a 25-pound average this year or something?
Oh, wow. On those grassies, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's saying a lot for them. They recognize, they kind of overlooked all the talk, not try to go too big, play it safe, and also put great fish in the boat.
Right.
I mean, that you can definitely win. And I mean, even the Muzzy here, when they shot it, they won it several times. But one time there in Eddyville, I mean, I was thinking too big. I think those guys won. The last one we had was somewhere around a 20-pound average. We were thinking big, and a storm came in and knocked us all out of the park, and it was hard to pull just 20 fish, much less a 20-pound average.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a very good way to put that, because I remember that one year they won 2 years ago they won the U.S. Open with those grassies, and they didn't have but it was conditions that changed that kept them in it.
Sure.
So always control of what you and your team can control. Yep. Don't worry about anybody else.
Yep.
What you can control.
Yep. You got to adapt.
Exactly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And I think a lot of that's reading variables and having an idea what the fish are going to do, and those guys are very good at it.
Yes.
I mean,
they're top notch.
That's helped me, and that's where us too. We try to play everything, what we're given the best we can, and just more or less playing a game of odds, and it's helped us a whole lot.
That's awesome. So Lance, I got to ask you, man. BAA Worlds is coming to Kentucky next year. Your home state. Are you excited?
I'm pretty excited. No, it's going to be a challenge, that's for sure. But it's pretty cool to be able to compete, here in the home area on a tournament like that.
Absolutely, I'd be excited.
Yeah,
I would be excited if I lived there. And it was coming back to Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I plan on coming down there and just hanging out. I'm not going to shoot in a tournament. Unless Lance needs another shooter.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Never know. We may have a man sick.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny. I asked you if you were excited. All right. I never really have seen you excited before. You are so laid back and just take it as it goes.
Never too high, never too low.
Exactly. You just are like, I never see you excited very much, and it's just I think it's cool because you could be out there,
hooting and hollering about these big fish,
right?
Yeah,
and it's just just a straight line.
No. Well, I mean, and plus, we've had a lot of people like, man, I bet y'all are fired up because we have been blessed enough to bring some quality fish in, but man, the reality of it, there's other guys that are very good. I mean. Right. Some of these guys around here, I mean, they go all over and do well. I mean, you have some stout competition.
Right.
So, between that and then no telling how many other boats, you're going to be running all over the waters. I mean, it's going to be a challenge. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we're definitely looking forward to it, and we think we're definitely going to be competitive, but you never know when, that and the weather. I mean, you're also that time of year we'll all have a cold front or whatever it may be, and kind of had to change our strategy all around.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So let me ask you this, Lance. Do you feel any pressure winning all these tournaments last year? Now the world is coming to your home state. Do you feel any pressure, Lance?
And I've been beat at so many tournaments, it don't bother me to lose another one.
Okay. Oh, that's a great way to that's awesome. That's a great way to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been beat like a drum before. I mean, it's motivated us to try harder, but no, I mean, yeah, you do feel some pressure, especially when you got some people's attention, and you know there's going to be a lot watching you to see what you're going to bring in. I mean, yeah, you feel that somewhat, but no, man. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt my feelings if we're dead last. I mean, I won't like it. I mean, but who does? You know?
Right.
I mean, it's part of the game. I mean, that's what makes it fun. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, that night, every tournament, I'm tore up. I mean, you know, we're focused. I mean, we do what we can, but you know, when you put in so much time and it's down to that you know, that final night, I mean, you know, it seems like for us, it's like the Cajun, that was probably the biggest roller coaster for us because, you know, we got plan A, B, C, and D on that one, and you only got so much time to run it, and you got to make. We knew there was going to be some other guys on good fish, so that, you know, that was a lot of pressure too. So we knew we had to try to shoot a little bigger, and when you do that, that's more of a gamble. And plan A went right, plan B didn't, but plan B was just as important as plan A if you didn't put the rest of the fish with it. And so we were on C that night before it all come together and literally put the rest of our fish in the boat in the ire. So, you know, there's a lot of nerves. And, I mean, that night was a roller coaster for sure.
Sounds like
it.
And, I mean, that's, you know, going into these big tournaments like that, I mean, it's, you know, all it would take was, you know, several boats running over your fish or something like that, which can happen pretty easy. So
sure.
It's definitely do feel some pressure, but, I mean, at the end of the night, it is what it is. All you know, that's kind of something else that we've done is form that plan. And we're not mad at ourselves if the plan don't go wrong. You know, you base it on what everyone knew, and if it fails, then we fail as a team, and we knew we gave it all we could. And I think that makes it better versus when you're in those moments that you have to. Someone has to make a decision. This ain't going right, and whoever steps up to make that decision, they know if it's not right, it could cost the whole team. Where with us, it's already planned. The team planned it together. So you lose together, you win together.
Very cool.
Gotcha.
Yep. Very cool.
Yep. That's cool. That's a cool behind-the-scenes look there, Lance. Thank you for sharing that. Just to switch lanes here a little bit, on-track canine big game recovery, just for us and our listeners, can you dive into a little bit of what that is, Lance? Give us some insight on that.
Man, this was a business that I knew was needed in my area. Because I personally had to hire a guy with a dog, and he was the only guy in my area, had a great dog. He didn't do it to the level that we do it. I mean, he just kind of, you know, as a side deal, I think he was doing it for tips. He had a great dog. He loved watching his dog run. And so I knew there was a need for the service. Matter of fact, I got a call coming in now.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. But that's actually the second one since we've been talking. But anyhow, I mean, I knew there was a need for the service because I personally needed it. And I had trained a dog before for myself, and she was mediocre. I mean, she'd find deer, but she wasn't to the level that I wanted to take calls on. And after I had actually shot it, man, it was right at a 180-inch deer. I didn't know where I hit it. I brought that guy in. He didn't recover it, and he told me, this deer is more likely, the way the dog's reacting, still alive. He said, go back to hunting. And I didn't know, you know, what I know now about it. And I'm like, how is this guy going to tell me this? You know, because, you know, he didn't show me my deer. And I don't know if he's dead or alive. I don't know where I hit him or anything. Huh. And he was right. I mean, it wasn't 2 days later, that deer was back on cam. And,
oh, wow.
And I didn't know it at the time, but I had shoulder shot him, and he healed up fine and stayed in the same area. And I think that was the first time I shot him was on a Sunday afternoon. I just went back to hunting him, and the following was Sunday morning. The deer actually came in pretty close to the same area. I was able to get another shot. The deer was walking, and I was afraid to stop him because I done stopped him once and shot. And so I was like, kind of put it behind the shoulder, shot. He took a step, and it put it about the liver area where I hit the deer.
Okay.
And that guy had told me, he said, man, if you ever hit back, he said, that's a fatal shot. This dog will find it, which, I mean, his dog will find probably any dead deer, but that's a shot that's known to, a lot of people hear gut shot and they freak out. A lot of the old timers would say, these deer run 2 or 3 miles, you'll never find them and die somewhere else. Well, that's actually usually they're within 300 yards. A lot of times you don't have a blood trail.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, as soon as I knew what happened, I didn't even try to trail a deer. I called the guy with the dog and said, "Hey man, I just got another opportunity. If you don't mind, that was early that morning." I said, "Meet me here about dark and we'll go in." And that's what we did. And his dog just ate the trail up, went straight to the deer, and it was a done deal. But after that, I was like, man, I've got to. I had to get another dog trained, and it was just by luck. My wife, on Facebook Marketplace, someone was selling bloodhounds here in my area, and that's where Hank came from.
Wow!
And ever since then, that's been 7 years ago, and I've done little hunting since then.
Yeah,
I've been doing a lot of tracking.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know you touched on it a little bit. So your tracking dog is a bloodhound, then, Lance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. Black and tan bloodhound.
All right. Do you have any other dogs? Do you have any Bavarian mountain hounds?
I do. We also run the Bavarians.
Okay.
I have a Jag Terrier. I have a Jag Terrier in training. Actually, Dennis Redden, a good buddy of yours, he's been training for me, got him started. Now I got to put him on the real thing.
Oh.
But we have a few, and I have some other handlers that help me. JC is one of the better ones. She's been with me a while. She's running a Bavarian mountain hound also.
So you have multiple dogs and multiple handlers now for your services, then, Lance, right? Is that correct?
We're still, yeah. I mean, it's in the making.
Okay.
Next year I'm hoping to have. What I'd like to do by next year is have 3 handlers and drone combinations. We really like running the dog drone combination together.
Gotcha.
That way we can kind of cover everything.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Right.
So, Lance, let me ask you, just touch on that a little bit about that drone there. How is that different compared to a dog as far as advantages, disadvantages? I mean, just bring us into that world of this new age drone, using that to find dead deer.
Man, there's pros and cons of both, of course. But the drone, man, it's causing a big stink right now, and it should. I mean, these things are pretty amazing. The cool factor is unreal. I mean, when you can fly over, especially now that the leaves have dropped.
Yeah.
There's you can see a lot of other deer. I mean, a little bit of everything. I mean, it running the thermal. You're going to get heat, and then what you do is say you fly over, you have a heat source. Well, if it's daytime, you have a daytime camera that the zoom from, say, 300 foot in the air, and you can zoom in on something. It's just unreal. Like, for instance, when we were testing it, I think we were 400 foot up. We had a heat spot in a tree, and we zoomed in on it, and I literally watched a raccoon scratch his ear.
Oh, my
gosh. Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, the cons on the drones is, once someone tells you their last blood, you really don't know what direction the deer's going from there. That kind of can delay you have to, basically grid search with the drone. You have to cover a lot of area. The other downfall, early season, the canopy. It's hard to penetrate that canopy with the thermal.
Right.
We had a lot of problems with that, up to about almost which this year I feel like the leaves held a little longer than normal, because it was probably the first week in November or at the end of October. It started doing the drone started performing really well then.
Sure.
That's cool.
So I kind of think like the drone is more of a search, where the dog is more of he's following. He's following scent, and the drone is more of like a search, like you said, a grid and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I tell people. I mean, there's good, there's just like anything between dogs and handlers. You have your, 5-star handlers, and you have your 3-star or less, or what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on like say if I had to make a decision to call a dog guy or a drone guy, if it's a mediocre dog in your area, that's more of a maybe, find them, maybe not, then the drone may be more successful.
Right.
If it's a 5-star dog, I mean, I'm pretty well convinced that in any good normal scent conditions, I'm going to find a dead deer. Right. So, I mean, the dog success rate of a good winning handler is probably going to be higher because wherever that deer goes, the dog's going to follow.
Right.
Now, you do have scenarios where, let's say, you want to give respect to a neighbor. It's hunting season. I track to, and this has happened a few times this year already, I track to a property line. Even if I can get permission, that neighbor don't want us going through there and pushing his deer out.
Yep.
And, during hunting season. So, we can fly the drone over, locate it. If the deer haven't been alive, then obviously, we were kind of evaluate it, maybe check on it again, the following morning or whatever it may be. Or if it's dead, then, we can call a neighbor and say, hey, which a lot of times most time we always let them know what we're doing. That way, if they see a drone flying over, they're not going to freak out. But anyhow, I mean, if we locate that animal, it's a direct path to it now, and everybody's more happy. So there's definitely, pros and cons of that part of it also. But
yeah, let me ask you this. Oh, go ahead, Lance. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, statistically, I mean, we've had probably a better success with the dog, just for the fact that we usually start with the drone first. If we can't locate it, then we drop the dog, and that's happened several times.
Okay, gotcha.
I was just going to ask you, Lance, when that dog, I've heard all kinds of different things about how dogs are tracking deer. And one of them that I hear is that they can sense that, they can smell that interdigital gland in that deer's hoof. Is that kind of what you have? Is that what you know that those dogs are tracking, or kind of what are those dogs keying in on to know the specific deer that they're trying to track?
Yes, absolutely. The interdigital gland is what that hoof scent. Like, I can watch my dog when the blood dries up. He'll literally be taking his nose, flipping leaves over, and sticking his nose down in the tracks.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, that's a big part of it. And, I mean, there is some, like I was saying, when that guy said my deer wasn't dead, and he was right. I mean, that dog keys off that scent. So, if that, even though them deer are bleeding, it may be a muscle wound, there's a lot of blood, and you think, yeah, this deer's got to die, and that's not always the case. A muscle wound bleeds a lot, and it's usually kind of deceiving. It looks like more blood than there is, but once that blood trail dries up, and that dog, he keys off the interdigital gland. That's what he's tracking when there's nothing else to track.
Wow.
And I've read a lot about it. They claim that the dog can actually identify that actual deer as far as the dandruff, kind of like a human. We all have individual scents. Well, they claim that the dog kind of picks up on that too. So he's keying off that interdigital gland, what blood may be there, and the actual dandruff of the deer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Good Lord.
That's just amazing.
That's impressive, yeah.
It is. So, Lance.
But what we go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
What we see a lot on that interdigital gland, and it is, I mean, it's a true story. This kind of backs it up. Once that dog gets past blood, say we go to a bed where that deer laid overnight, we sometimes can track to that bed and then cannot go anywhere from then on. So what happened was the deer bedded, he calmed down, he's not putting out that scent, so he's basically a healthy deer the next day.
Exactly. Yep. Because I listened to a podcast a while back too, and I heard the handler say the same thing. Because I can tell just by watching my dog's reaction and how my dog is performing, if this deer is dead or if it's still alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty absolutely.
Cool. Yep. So, Lance, if somebody makes an iffy shot on a deer, they're not quite sure that they made the best shot on that deer, what should they do? What's the best thing for them to do for you to go in there then later on and make tracking easier?
That's a popular question I get a lot, because a lot of these guys got where now they call me before they even track the deer.
Yeah. Okay.
And just basically asking for advice. My advice is if you're able to track it, then track it. Once it gets to where it looks like it's going to be iffy or you're going to need a dog, once you get to the point that you can't go any further, don't grid search. Don't walk all over the place. Okay. And, if you're stepping in that deer scent and packing it off, that makes a dot of scent that my dog could key off of and take us 15 minutes to prove or to work it out sometimes. So it definitely delays us. And that's something that you'll see a lot of these handlers and trackers, pushing a lot not to do. And they are right. I mean, you don't, I mean, the more they track it up, the longer it takes us to work it out.
Yep.
But it's something we also deal with a lot. Most of them lie. And that's one thing I want to state. If you do it, just say you do it. You done it, because it makes us, where like you're saying, if my dog is really struggling and going all over the place, if I know you gritted it, which I can usually tell anymore, that lets me know that, hey, this deer could be mortally wounded, and it's not as hard of a track for the dog. We just haven't got past that grid yet.
Right.
You know, we don't want to misread our dog. If you just say it, that helps us understand what's going on, and sometimes kind of put that puzzle together to get the track out of there and get it lined out and all that good stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah. So, Lance, what's the biggest deer that you've recovered, and like, what's your most memorable tracking job through all these years?
Man, we've found, I think, 3 over 200 now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Wow.
Which is, anytime you walk up on a deer like that, it's just something you never forget. I mean, I think one of them happened to be 226, and the other biggest one was right around that. I don't remember. It was one of them deer that had a lot of trash, and it was somewhere around that too. They were both pretty close. I mean, within a few inches. I do know that. But I mean, you know, I've tracked probably, I think Hank's knocking on 500 recoveries now.
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
To do that, we probably tracked, 1,000 plus deer. You know, I mean, they're when we get caught, it's a bad scenario most of the time, so we see a lot of live deer. But man, I've got so many memories. It would be hard to put a pin on just one.
Sure.
I mean, last year we got to meet Hank Williams Jr. That was pretty cool. We found a deer for Riley Green.
Oh my gosh.
You never know who's going to call or where you're going to end up.
Right.
I mean, some of the most memorable is, that it may not even be a big deer, just a kid's first deer or something of that sort, or something that just means a lot to someone. I mean, we've seen some grown men just, because the emotions, we're their last resort.
Yeah.
And when it all comes together, there can be a lot of emotions in this. And we've seen grown men cry. We had, it just everything, man. Like I said, to me, like the kids' first deer and stuff like that, it ain't about always the inches of the deer, but, that's something they're going to remember their whole life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's the most memorable stuff to me. But we've chased deer through towns. I've run a 200-inch deer between a house and a detached garage that his racks barely fit through. We don't have enough time to tell all the stories. If you had my crew together, the things we've witnessed and seen, man, it's been a pretty cool ride.
That's amazing.
That's really
amazing.
cool.
One thing that was really cool is I was looking at your Facebook page for your canine big game recovery services, and there's a really cool picture of Hank down by looked like a river, and his front paws were in the water. He was looking across that water, and on the other side of the water, you could see the deer on the bank, and his antlers sticking up on that one side. It was just a really neat picture. That deer went to that water.
Kind of like a swamp area.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I know the picture you're talking about, man. That was that was a pretty cool morning. Like when we recovered that, because the area we were in, it was, I don't know, but I snapped that picture. If I'm thinking of the same one that you are, there's a guy kind of on behind the deer wearing orange.
Yeah.
Yep. That's Noah. That's Noah. That's on my team. He happened to be with me that morning.
I thought that was Noah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's a pretty cool picture.
That is a really neat picture. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Lance. So we talked about bow fishing tournaments, Bigheads, to Hank, and tracking deer. You also have a pressure wash system that you own down there in Kentucky. You're busy all the time. And now you just bought another business.
Yeah, my wife's ready to kill me.
So tell our listeners, Lance, what you just bought.
Muddy Flats Bow Fishing.
Wow.
Locally owned there in Catawba. Jeremy Scott started the business, I want to say, somewhere around 10 years. I don't know exactly, because I haven't been bow fishing but 5 now, but I know he's been around since I've been doing it. But yeah, man, that was just kind of one that I had, Jeremy was working a full-time job and working there on the weekends. I knew he was working 7 days a week, and Jeremy's a friend of mine, and I had a feeling, man, between doing all that, I think they had some mowing businesses they do too, between him and his boy. I just kind of mentioned to him, like, hey, if you ever want to sell this place, I may be interested. I love that lake area, and with my washing, we're kind of growing it in that area also. And anyhow, I had mentioned it to him. Well, Jeremy's, I think, plan was to retire and work the store more full time. Well, when he went to put his notice in to retire, I think they made him an offer that he couldn't turn down.
Oh, okay.
So he decided, he was just going to stick with that and probably let the store go. That way he didn't have to work so much.
Gotcha.
So it was one of those, man, I haven't mentioned it. The timing, I guess, was just perfect because within 2 weeks, he called me back. He's like, hey, man, I'm thinking about this. So let me know what you want to do. So I wasn't the best timing with all this other stuff going on, but we jumped on board and was able to make it happen. And that once this tracking slows down, that's where all my hours are fixing to go to get all that good stuff ready.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Congratulations on
that.
Yeah,
that's really cool, awesome. Lance. Really
I appreciate that. Appreciate it.
So for everyone listening, Lance, you just want to tell us what Muddy Flats is and what are your goals with it?
That's we have, as far as it goes, I mean, I am going to try to grow the store, maybe get a few more things in there, more apparel and stuff of that sort. Maybe more, Jeremy has already pretty well anything to do with bow fishing. I mean, from the bottle reels to the string to, several different rests and also bows in there also. Yep. So he has a little bit of everything already in there. He's had a great business, and in our area, obviously, right there at the lake, he stayed pretty busy.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But in time, I mean, I don't have the money just to go in there and do exactly what I want, but I do want to grow it, do a lot of online stuff, which he was already doing online. I want to push that a little harder. And basically, grow the inventory and then maybe do like electronics, trolling motors, depth finders, the whole 9 yards before it's over with.
That's awesome. I mean, you're going to be busy.
Yeah.
I know, man.
You're going to be busy.
I gotta start figuring it all out here for long.
Mm-hmm. Not enough hours in the day. Yep.
I'm telling you.
So once you get up and going there, Lance, can people stop in and buy products? And then you mentioned that you'll have online services as well.
Yes. I'm hoping to be open by April is our goal, if not sooner. I mean, it's pretty well, all I have to do is open the doors, but I am going to do a little minor stuff around there, try to do some painting and just kind of put our own touch to it type thing. But if everything should be rolling by I would imagine April.
Okay, cool. Very cool. That's exciting.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, we wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
With Muddy Flats down there. You're in the right area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should do very well down there. And I know bow fishing is something that you enjoy to do. So I'm sure you'll do very well with selling bow fishing products.
And with all your other business ventures being as successful as they have been, I'm guessing Muddy Flats will fall right in line with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, let's keep our fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, Lance, we wish you the best of luck the rest of the year here in your tracking down there with Hank and stuff. And we look forward to having you guys on pro staff again next year and getting out on the tournaments again there and shooting some monster big heads. And best of luck with Muddy Flats store down there, Lance. Yep. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Lance.
I appreciate it so much, guys.
Thanks
for calling.
You bet. Problem. You take care and have a great day, Lance. Have a good Thanksgiving, too, as well.
Yep.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. See you later.
See you guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I don't know when that guy's going to sleep.
Like I said, when he's scouting for tournaments, he's working during the daytime, gets a little break between, awful work and when it gets dark out, and then he's on the water till 5 a.m.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Have you ever, let me ask you this, Matt, and I think this was a very good, some good insight into how his brain works and how he's so successful shooting big heads. Have you ever woke up in the middle of the night and thought of something and left to go scout at 2 a.m. just to go see if whatever you thought of could be true?
No.
Isn't that insane?
It is.
Oh my gosh. When he said that, I'm like, this dude's a different breed.
He is.
Oh my gosh.
He doesn't sleep. Lance doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
He doesn't sleep at all.
He doesn't ever get too excited because he doesn't ever have the energy for it.
Maybe that's why.
He must be tired all the time.
Maybe that's why.
My gosh.
But what a cool guy. I'm glad that I got to know Lance. And just some of the adventures that he has been on.
Yeah.
Is really cool.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah.
It was kind of a neat,
bow fishing / bow hunting kind of canine recovery.
Yeah, and the muddy flats and
yeah.
stuff. So it's kind of a neat little podcast here, I think, with deer season,
looming here and gun season looming here in Wisconsin.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
cool.
really cool
very
little
cool
deal.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us there, Lance. That's awesome. We got written down here, Matt. You want to give everyone a little bit of a fantasy football update.
We talked about that when we first were getting into the drafting day here.
Yes.
And now we're heading into week 11.
We are. And I think, what was our bet? I think it was whoever took last place had to be in a dress and not take it off until they shoot a fish, correct?
But I don't think we're going to finish in last place.
We're too darn good. That's a problem. We're too good at this. But maybe we could extend it to everybody who's in the league here at AMS. Nate better watch out there because he's tailing up the bottom right now.
So anyway, this is all the AMS employees here, and we have Kevin Eskimo Brothers is
just dominating
here at a record of 7-3.
Yep.
And then here comes Schmitty in second place with a record of 7-3 as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then hot on the heels is the old Turf Toe Magicians. Yep. That'd be my team right there at 6-4.
Yep.
So you're second and I'm in third right now.
And we play each other this week. It's huge. And you got Joe Burrow going tomorrow
Thursday night. Yeah.
I will be watching that game hoping he gets injured. I'm just kidding. I would never wish that. But I hope that the Baltimore defense locks him up. I don't want him to get hurt. But I do watch those games a lot more than I would normally. Usually it'd just be Packer games, but fantasy football kind of puts a new twist on it. So.
Right. And Schmitty, you want to let everybody know because next week, Thanksgiving, of course.
I can't believe it's already that time of year. Good Lord.
Deer hunting up here in Wisconsin. But then we also have Black Friday, Schmitty.
Yes, we do. For AMS and Megamouth, we got some Black Friday sales. We've been in the lab in the office there cooking up some deals. Amongst others that maybe we don't have even thought up yet. These will for sure be out there for you guys. We're talking like for that Black Friday, so be on the lookout for a social media post or an email blast if you're a part of that. We're having deals on T-shirts. We're going to have $14.99 T-shirts, originally $24.99. The Hooligan Bow onlys. This is a big one. That Hooligan Bow is arguably the best bow fishing bow that's ever been made. We're going to have that on sale for $349.99. That's $100 off.
Wow.
That's $100 off there.
What a great time to get that for a Christmas present, huh?
Absolutely. Could you imagine just a stocking stuffer of the bottom cam and limb and the rest of the bow just sticking out of a stocking? Right. That would be perfect. Our breakdown watermark recurve, the bow only, $129. That's on sale from $179. Our bow cases, which is a great Christmas time gift. You don't want to have those bows. You're going to put all this time and money into getting your equipment right. You got to take care of it. If you take care of your equipment will take care of you. That's been something that my dad has instilled in me since I was a little tot. But,
good thing to say. Good thing. Yep.
Bow cases originally are $129.99. They're going to be on sale for $90.
Nice. Knocking
some price off there. The zip rest as well from $32.99 down to $24.99. Jumping over to the Megamouth side of things, same deal with that bow case, originally $130 down to $90. And then we'll also have sales on our apparel as well. So be on the lookout for that. Get some holiday stuff taken care of. Check off the list.
Check out the websites then on that Black Friday.
Yep.
I'm sure they're going to have some stuff on the websites where you can just click on links and see all the Black Friday specials.
Yes, that's what we're working towards there, and we'll probably run those, from Black Friday through Cyber Monday, and then we might have some holiday sales going on pre-Christmas. So just be on the lookout there during this up here a little bit slower time of year. We like to kind of offer some sales, keep the juices flowing.
Yeah,
holidays are a great time to stock up on little things to get you ready for next season.
Absolutely. So absolutely.
That was a good one. How long we got here? Wow, that did not feel that long.
That was a really good podcast. It was kind of covered a lot of stuff.
We did. We really did.
All that stuff.
Yep.
So from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing and Megamouth Bowfishing, we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving coming up here.
Yep. Thankful for you.
Be thankful. It's a great time of year. A lot of cool things coming up here. It's a great seasonal change. I love that change,
Yep.
That change right there. So from all of us here at AMS Bowfishing and Megamouth Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. Remember, aim low
and think big. Thanks for listening, guys.